Hi, my name is Amy Weber. I am co founder of Speak, Learn, and Play in Brooklyn, New York. I am a child therapist and a parent coach. And this month we are talking all about adventure. And in particular, today, I want to talk about what I call micro adventures, how we can practice adaptation in small, safe ways. This is a kind of adventure that I think gets overlooked. When we hear adventure, we often imagine big things, new camps, big transitions, trying something unfamiliar and maybe a little risky. But for many neurodivergent kids, and honestly, many adults too, growth doesn't usually happen through giant leaps. It happens through tiny experiments, small stretches, safe risks, micro adventures. And that is our core idea today. Adventures don't have to be big. Growth happens in micro moments when kids practice flexibility with support and play. And that matters because flexibility doesn't usually grow through pressure. It grows through practice. So, why do low stakes challenges matter? Sometimes we accidentally treat flexibility like something kids should just have. Just go with it, be flexible, try something new. But flexibility is actually a skill, and skills need reps, especially for neurodivergent kids. Novelty can often register as uncertainty. And uncertainty often feels like danger. So jumping straight into huge challenges often backfires. Big leaps can overwhelm. Small stretches, though, can build confidence. And that's where low stakes challenges come in. Tiny moments where the stakes are low enough for success, but different enough to stretch adaptability. So I'm talking about things like using a different cup at breakfast, taking a slightly new route home, switching the order of two bedtime steps, trying one new food alongside all of your safe foods, playing a game with one silly rule change. These might sound ridiculously small, but neurologically, these are flexibility workouts. Tiny, tiny brain reps. And every successful rep builds, I can handle change. And that belief really matters. So, how can we turn daily routines into mini adventures? One of my favorite things to tell parents is never add more. Transform what already exists. Routines are full of micro adventures waiting to happen. You can make every ordinary moment into a playful experiment. Turn errands into missions. Say something like, today we're explorers taking a new path through the store. Turn transitions into quests. Can we brush teeth backwards tonight? Toothpaste first or brush first? And add tiny surprise choices. Should pajamas happen before books tonight? Play what's different. Move one thing at dinner. Sit in a different seat. Use a funny voice for the bedtime story. That is adaptation practice disguised as play. And play is where nervous systems loosen. Play says, this is safe. We can experiment here. And that's huge because flexibility learned through joy sticks differently than flexibility demanded under stress. How can we scaffold bravery with predictability? This is really important. Adventure does not mean chaos, especially for neurodivergent kids. Bravery grows best when supported by predictability. I like to call this a safe surprise. Enough novelty to stretch, enough structure to feel secure. That is what scaffolding is. And scaffolding might sound like first tell them what's changing, then keep everything else familiar. For example, we're trying a new playground today, but bringing your same snack and leaving after 30 minutes. That's a stretch plus safety. Or we're practicing ordering your own smoothie. I'm going to stand right next to you. Support plus a challenge. That is how bravery grows. Not by throwing kids into the deep end, but by building stepping stones. And here's something beautiful. Bravery often looks very ordinary. Trying the different spoon, saying hello first, taking a new route, wearing socks that might feel slightly less than perfect. All of those things count. Tiny bravery is still bravery, maybe especially tiny bravery. When adventure goes sideways, what do we do? Sometimes micro adventure flops because, of course, it does. That is also part of adventure, right? The new restaurant is a disaster. The fun surprise causes tears. The change in routine sparks a meltdown. This does not mean the experiment failed. It means you found your child's edge, and that is information. And recovery is part of the skill. And actually, recovery is probably the bigger skill, not because resilience grows in nothing ever went wrong. It's we came back together. When adventure goes sideways, we want to pause, regulate ourselves first, help our child regulate, and analyze later. And really stick with that felt hard. Not you are doing fine until no post game criticism, just co regulation. And then later you can ask, okay, what was too much? What should we keep the same next time? What would make this feel safer? That teaches that hard moments can be repaired. And that is probably the most important lesson of all. So, here are a few practical tips for creating your own micro adventures. These are some super easy ones to try. Use the one tiny twist rule. Change only one small thing at a time. One different thing, not five. That keeps novelty tolerable. You might want to try creating an adventure ladder. Start tiny and then slowly stretch. So, an example of that might be look at a new food, touch a new food, smell a new food, and then maybe the tiniest taste. That is bravery, but scaffolded. Try making flexibility a game. You can play opposite day. You can play silly rule switch, mystery choice. Change can become a playful practice. And we want to try to always incorporate predictable recovery rituals. After a hard stretch, have a reset, a snack, maybe a swing, maybe some cuddling, maybe some drawing. We always want to have the same calming and regulating ritual. Kids become more willing to stretch when they trust that recovery exists. We always want to celebrate adaptation and not just success. Notice you adjusted, you recovered, you tried something different. That's what we want to strengthen, not perfection, but just adaptation. So, in closing, I want to leave you with this: adventure does not have to be big, it can be tiny and quiet and ordinary. 100 little moments of trying, adjusting, recovering. That is where flexibility grows. That is also where confidence grows. And off, that's where the joy sneaks in too. Micro adventures teach kids change can be manageable, trying can be safe, and getting a little off course does not mean that we are lost. It just means that we're learning. And honestly, that's what adventure has always been. Thank you so much for being here today, and we'll see you soon.